Alright everybody, welcome to the X-Men Age of Apocalypse Ruffy Speed Paint. Joining me today will be Brandon. Brandon, say hi.
Hello.
Regular old lead heavy. So basically folks, this is a Ruffy that I make here. Brandon, go ahead and hit play. So, what this basically is a Ruffy of something that I'm working on now, or soon to be now. A big illustration consisting of 2 prints featuring the X-Men storyline Age of Apocalypse. And it's going to be 2 vertical 11 by 17s of tons of characters, 20-something plus characters, based all on the storyline. And before I get started on something this complex, I like to actually sketch the whole fucking thing out in color. I call it a Ruffy. Basically, I build up the characters in silhouettes, block them all in, kind of size them up as little ink blots in a way, and give myself a very strong starting point that I can then draw over. So if you look now, I'm laying out the grids here on the
perspective.
on the floor. Yeah, and that background is just something I set up initially to get the tone. I know that's going to be Apocalypse in the background with the lightning.
Does that help with sizing at all, or?
In a way, yeah, because what I want here is a little bit of depth. You can see me sketching in Magneto and then Rogue. And I'm just blocking in basic silhouettes in one color. I put Rogue in green just so it stands out next to Magneto. So I'm just going to pick random colors. That yellow is going to be
Sunfire.
Sunfire. And then in the background, I know I wanted the Horseman Apocalypse. I'm kind of working in the background, or in the foreground, in the background, in the foreground, in the background. So I can constantly kind of like get the sizing of the character down.
Uh-huh.
Like I think it's going to be Sabretooth and Wildchild. People ask me all the time about this Ruffy process, why I do this. I don't know how to draw 700 characters, man. You know, all at once. That being said, too, sometimes, like some of these things can just be color. Like, okay, that Sunfire, his flames. Do I need to draw all the flames out?
No.
I like to paint them in and then draw over that paint so it'll closely match. Hey, Brendan, you ever see someone sketch something and then the color comes around and it doesn't look a fucking thing like the sketch?
Correct, right.
So this helps build this process up. Something that I also want on these pieces is that I want some level of background. I know since it's going to be a bunch of characters, I don't want it to be a wall of characters. Like a giant flat wall of characters. I want there to be depth, this Z depth. So that's why you see like that Sunfire, I'm adding the flame going behind him somehow, you know? I also want to keep the clouds and the redness in the background. It's going to be Wolverine, I think.
Yeah, because you don't want like 800 heads just taking up the whole background. Where it, just from my point of view, of seeing prints and such, you know, you need that background to kind of just give a little bit of separation of characters and also just add something to it where it's not just a bunch of floating heads, which you know you've seen on covers before, where it's just 800 heads taking up the whole page and there's nothing really to it.
Yeah, and this process is a little tedious and time-consuming. Total time, I think, is between 5 and 6 hours to get this figured out. The final piece, sped up 12 times.
Not so bad.
It still runs 26 minutes. I've learned that with these speed videos to not exceed the 12 times speed marker, or so fast you can't see anything that's going on.
Right. You'll
notice I'm leaving all these characters on separate layers. The reason for that is because I will add in all their details in color once they're all blocked in. So it's easier just to lock transparency and paint right over these silhouettes once I do that. So every character goes on a separate layer while I move them around. That's going to be Bishop right there. And if you put characters right up in the foreground like that, it just adds a lot of depth. You can see that sort of like curved. They're on a curved viewpoint, vanishing point off to the left, and then there's almost a 1 point that's curving too on the right-hand side. So I like to curve the perspective lines a little bit of a fisheye lens effect. Same kind of effect that a camera would have.
Just adds more dynamic to it.
Yeah, it adds more dynamics, keeps it looking like, you ever see when people like adhere to those vanishing points with the straight edge and it's this weird angular thing, you know?
Yep,
the world's curved, so
I've tried it the other way and it didn't turn out so well.
Yeah. Brandon, do you have any questions about this process? Like,
do you ever get lost? Like when you have like 800 layers here. I mean, how often do you kind of have a sense of if one's higher than the other where you're exactly are at, or do you get kind of lost sometimes? You're like, oh shit, what is this layer? And you got to go through and click all of them.
No, you don't have to. All you have to do is hit Control and then right click on your mouse or the forward click on my Wacom.
Uh-huh.
If it's Control Alt right click, it will automatically, and you select something, it will automatically jump to the layer that they're on.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I never. That's when people go, "How do you have all these layers? How do you keep track of it?" I'm like, I don't have to worry about it. I just Control Alt right click, and it just jumps. Photoshop will jump to whatever layer you clicked on.
Oh man!
So I never worry about layers. Yeah, when you were doing T-shirts with me, I just know you're gonna get lost because you don't know how to do this thing. And it's one of those things I was gonna show you when you chilled out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, fun factoid for anyone listening and watching. Now they know that, so they can kind of save themselves some time.
Yeah, it's Control Alt right click, or Control Alt right click. So. Or Control.
Did you have any kind of reference pictures to the side or anything that give you kind of an idea of
the covers to Age of Apocalypse?
Does that just kind of help with their silhouettes as far as their shapes, their bodies?
Yeah. Their shapes, like those little. Some things I forgot, like the little Sentinel bots back there that were in the issue, the Apocalypse bots. I forgot about those. I forgot about Kitty Pryde, the Gen X, her and Colossus.
I
haven't looked at this shit since. This is the first time I've ever drawn anything Age of Apocalypse related since 1995.
Oh wow!
So I literally have not.
Was it that long ago it came out?
Yes.
Man, oh that's right. That's right because I got the 20th. I had some kind of. I think I got the 20th anniversary thing on sale or something. Man, good times. It was a good storyline. I mean, it really. Do you find when you like a storyline, do you find it's easier to create, or do you feel like you're more pressure because it's something you like so much and you don't want to fuck it up?
What are you talking about?
When you're creating like this, so you're making a piece of Age of Apocalypse art, and I know you're a big fan of it. Do you feel like when you're being a fan of something you're making, does that make you have less or more pressure to kind of get it right?
Oh, you mean like in terms of fan? Nah, I don't have any. Well, do I have pressure to get it right? No, not really. What I have a pressure of is that it's going to be a flat wall of characters. like
right.
That's really what I fear. That this is just going to be. Because I did this thing called the Critters piece back at Play back in the day. It was like a bunch of characters, and I did a front 1 point perspective, which turned out fine. And then I did this side view, and it just didn't come out right at all. So with this, like I'm just want to make absolutely certain that it maintains the atmosphere of the Age of Apocalypse. You know, that you get that sense of brooding, destructiveness. All the characters are there. All the ones that sort of matter, in my opinion, are there. I don't really fear, whether I'm going to be able to draw them justice or not, because I don't know. I guess I'm not at that point now where. You know what I mean? I guess I'm at the point where I'm like, I can draw them,
Right, you're more worried about that.
I fear over the amount of time it's going to take to get all of it done.
Oh, it's going to take a long time. If it took you, what, 6 hours to rough it out?
This could take me probably 60, 70 hours to get this done. We'll see how it goes. That being said, now you can see there was that little bit of a delay where I walked away and then got all my reference. Now I go in and I start blocking the characters. And what I've done is I've locked the transparency on layer, and I start just sampling their basic colors and start blocking in all their details in color. And I have a lot of pre-selected things, so when I need grays, I have my own grays now. My own, like
color palette.
Bishop there is black, is African American, whatever. So, and then now right here, you can see I filled in a shade layer really quick. Because rather than sketch everything in, sometimes it's easier for me to fill in a shade and block in the light. Automatically, I need that lighting source quick, man. Or otherwise it feels dead to me. The art
gets kind of flat.
Yeah, I need that sense of depth quickly.
And do you already have like a light source picked out, or you kind of just go with how you feel?
It is basic, just like kind of like in front of them, low. Since it's more low light source, kind of from the floor up, because they're it's a more moodier piece,
Mm-hmm.
If it was happier, it'd be that someone would be up in the sky, but this is the light is low, and then there's going to be that, backlight from the lightning and.
Do you have a favorite light source?
No.
It just kind of goes. It just kind of goes with the piece, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't really care.
I've never thought about that to where a light source can set the mood, as like you're saying.
See that Cyclops? How different that is once you light in.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you start just underlighting them, it changes everything, and he's just a blob of paint.
Right.
Now I paint in the little. See, I painted his optic eye blast because he only got one eye, and then I move like Psylocke over, and then now I'm working in Jean Grey in color. I didn't even notice her there before. So she's just a blob of paint.
Right. Just a splatter.
Yeah.
And you won't go too much into are you going to go too much into detail here, or just basically just the silhouettes and the main colors?
It's basically the lighting and all their basic details, and then kind of working out where their effects are going to go, their glows and shit. Because those are all going to be painted in.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to draw all those glows and stuff since I'm coloring this. But they all need to like fit and exist, well enough.
How many, when you're doing like, because this is a double, did you set it up the paper-wise, did you set it up for two 11x17s?
Yeah, I opened up my 11x17 and went to canvas and increased the width by 200%. Just moved it over to the right and then duplicated my thing to the left. So, all my guides. And then what I'm doing is I'm making sure that they're split in half. The image, like Cyclops sort of runs in, he's a little off center, so he'll be more on the left side than the right, Oh, it's Blink, not Cyclops. Silent. So, it'll be split in between Cyclops and Colossus, somewhere around there. And I'll have to make certain, too, that whenever they cut off, that I'm not cutting into their faces. That's all I care about.
Right.
That their faces aren't being cut in half.
When you started making it, did you kind of have an idea where exactly the line is, or did you just kind of wing it and just add the characters?
No, I know the line is there because it's there. Like, I know where the half is. But I just know that I can't cut the faces off. And that comes from... I use the same mental checks that I would use working with the publisher. No publisher is going to want you to be like, oh, in this double page spread, Colossus's face is going right in the gut. You know what I mean? Like, no one would ever approve that, so why would I approve it?
Yeah.
So I just try to use the same mentality. What I'm trying to do here now, see there, with Sabretooth, I'm blocking his colors, and now I'm quickly working on his lighting, keeping in check that there's an underlight. Plus, there might be some lighting going on with that optic blast a little bit. But the other thing I'm trying to do too is make certain that I don't make them too large. If you've seen, they did that Age of Apocalypse remix, and there's some great artists in there. A couple years ago, they did that Age of Apocalypse. You know what I mean, the anniversary. Yeah. And some of those characters are drawn so muscular that I'm like, well, that's just not accurate.
Very, very Hulk-like.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make certain that they're proportioned. Even
in
Ruffy.
I'm all for wild proportions, but I prefer maybe like elongated legs or forearms or something compared to like giant muscular dudes. Like you're never gonna see like a Nightcrawler be all roided out and huge.
For me, it's somewhere between Joe Mad and Greg Capullo. If you want like my opinion on muscle types, you know what I mean? Like, and Capullo's cool with making a guy super thin. So somewhere between those two in terms of body types, I think works just fine.
I think I'm more of a mix of Joe Mad and maybe like I like bigger blockier shapes like a Chris Bachalo or maybe a Ramos, where they exaggerate more bigger knees or bigger feet, stuff like that. Where Joe Mad has such good muscle definition. I don't know the best way to say it, but he's more accurate as far as bodies go compared to like them. But I still do like the bigger shapes on things, big hand, big feet, things like that.
Now, this part right here was intentional. I wanted Havoc to not directly look at Cyclops.
His brother?
Yeah, so he's actually warding off those Sentinel bots in a way, like he's got their backs. But it's also like, one eye over his shoulder at his brother.
Right.
So that was intentional. And then with Magneto, I definitely wanted a lot of his cape. His cape was a big thing in that series.
Oh yeah, it was almost Batman-like.
Yeah, and I like his long hair tassels.
Oh yeah, I don't want to say tribal, but it has that very
The way him and Rogue are designed in the Age of Apocalypse are probably my favorite versions of the characters, if you want my opinion.
Yeah. I'd say Wolverine as well. Giving
him one hand actually is the right amount of handicap for Wolverine.
Right.
Cutting off a hand actually works. He's still a badass, but, not quite as easy. That's me zooming in to kind of make sure I got the teeth blocked in. I don't fuck them up too much.
Rawr.
Yeah.
Now, do you take any kind of liberties when it comes to costumes? design when you're basing it off something like that, or do you
Nope.
kind of just
Nope,
just straight on?
Yeah, I'm doing exactly what they have. I'm not.
Okay. I mean, I would imagine maybe more some stitch lines or buckles or something, but
No, no. Even now I wonder how rendered I'm going to make these characters. They might be simple airbrush or they might be cell shaded. I haven't decided yet.
I like the idea of it being cell shaded.
Yeah, I do too. Somewhere between cell shade and. You ever see the lighting on Brother Bear and like the later Disney films? They're not good movies, but the lighting like on Treasure Planet was good. These gradient shades where they're gradients, and so they got the cell shade obviously for the dramatic lighting, but they also have that gradient shade going on. Like Shaman,
right? So it's not so sharp, but it's still there.
Yeah, yeah, like that. So it'll probably be more cell shaded.
I would prefer that, just because I'm a fan of it. Oh, not airbrush, more cell shade, more harder shapes and colors than the other way.
Oh yeah, Quicksilver. I didn't mean that. That was an add-on. Oh, I can add in Quicksilver, and he'll be look. He's right there by his dad. Like,
you don't even have to add him. You can just tell people he's in there. Just find him. He's just so quick.
Look at airbrushing in that little blur. Boom. That's fun. You can work that in perspective. That transform tool is your friend, folks, in Photoshop.
Yeah. I don't use it enough. I don't warp things as enough as I should.
And then that's the Jim Carrey of X-Men.
Mimic.
Mimic. They gotta get Jim Carrey to voice him. Like, you know what? That's what they need to put in Deadpool too. Mimic.
Mimic?
Yeah, he'd be fucking genius with Deadpool, an R-rated scenario.
Like the Age of Apocalypse Mimic?
Yeah, fucking just... You could do a Mimic in our world now. If they're gonna bring Cable, they could bring him with Cable. Mimic, dude. Put Mimic in there with Jim Carrey doing it. That would be fucking sick.
Yeah. There'd probably be Sunspot or something that comes with him, but yeah. You need that someone else
that's an underrated
funny.
character. Mimic. I like them.
Someone who could be silly, but when they need to be serious, they can be. It's a good character.
Oh yeah. By the way, the Age of Apocalypse Storm doesn't get enough credit for how badass she is, dude.
Yeah.
That's my other favorite design, the Storm design.
You know, somebody asked us about it at the con, and I said Mohawk Storm, but I totally forgot about this one.
I forgot too.
She has a very Shaolin kind of look.
This I didn't mean to do too. The lightning. I thought that'd be cool. What if she's creating that lightning that's behind her? I just made that up right there. I was like, oh, that'd be cool, right? Like that would tie in.
Sometimes things just fall into place.
Yeah, it was meant to be. Now I gotta kind of adjust Apocalypse to fit in, but
make him a little bigger, more dominant.
Yeah.
I like it. It has a kind of
see how like there I'm draw the line and then I'm moving characters over now, right? You were saying?
I was gonna say it kind of has like a big boss battle video game feel to it. You know, where they're all coming at him, or even like the opening credits to like the.
That's what I wanted. Like the animated. Remember the Japanese folks? There's the X-Men cartoon from the '90s. There's a Japanese animation opening for the Japanese version of that cartoon. It's the same cartoon on the interior, but the opening credits were done in Japanese animation. It's fucking sick.
Yeah,
so that's
badass.
That's the vibe I was going for.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of.
You like that glow I did on Sunspot? That's just a
gradient map.
Not even gradient map. It's layer effects. It's a gradient overlay. It goes from red, orange to yellow.
Is that something you made, or
yeah,
that's
I made that.
Else?
Yeah, and they added a glow. I made that.
That's Jubilee.
Yeah, it's Jubilee.
I'm a big fan of hers.
That's why I'm putting her toward the center a little bit. I was showing some of my art here. So some of those
little extras.
Little extras.
Bonus content.
Now I'm going to add in Banshee because I forgot about him and I knew you'd fucking complain if he wasn't in there.
As I say, did you get a lot of people
yeah, see, I was looking
hey, what about this character? What about that character?
No, but I just knew you'd complain if Banshee wasn't in there.
He is one of my favorite X-Men ever. And Age of Apocalypse and the Phalanx series.
That was the first Copic commission I ever did, really.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of did with Prismacolor markers. It wasn't really Copics, but I did some Copics.
Watercolor at the bottom.
I like the Age of Apocalypse Iceman, too, by the way. Where he's all covered in ice armor and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing that cool, like, whoosh, parkour! Like he's doing the parkour. Sampling some of my colors. Once you build up enough of a portfolio, you can sample your own shit. It's nice.
Right, you don't have to use anybody else's stuff.
Yeah. But I just want Age of Apocalypse some shadow, like the evil menacing. Yeah,
But
and
enough to know who he is.
I'll draw him through. We'll see how much lighting I add to him. You know what I mean? So you'll probably see the lines, but he'll be tonal. You know.
Would you make the background characters just darker all around, and or
yeah, I mean you'll see the final lighting I work out toward the end here. I'll probably draw one of those fucking. See, that's that gradient overlay right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's adding the base. And I'm just drawing right over that shape. Look at that! Oh my god, it's so easy.
Now, do you leave spaces around the edges for like your logos and the bleed or whatever it is?
I don't worry about all that shit.
You don't worry about it, you just keep drawing?
No, I just don't worry about it. I don't care about where my logo goes. I'll go right over the logo. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I care about the drawing.
What was the hardest part about making this? Was there something that really was...
Patience. Just getting all the reference together and taking one character at a time, and people on the internet going, how come it's taking so long? I'm like, fucking... How many layers is that? Like, that's the most annoying part. Like, don't worry about how many layers it is. Just fucking get... Photoshop has layers. Like, this isn't even... The hard part's going to be drawing all this shit. Then you're going to do the flat. So, get a good look, Brandon. This is your future in a month. Like... Yeah.
I think you need to get rid of at least 30 characters.
Yeah. Dark Beast. Dark Beast was an evil motherfucker in this series.
Yeah. I mean, as he should be. I mean, he's a scientist who experiments on people, so I mean, why not?
You gotta make sure Apocalypse's lips are drawn correctly, or I'll never hear the fucking end of it.
I would not let you get away with not putting it. I mean, look at the outrage over the one in the movie.
Exactly.
I mean, people lost their fucking minds. I think people complain about that more, his look, than the Ben Affleck being Batman.
The Sentinels. You didn't even know the Sentinels were back there. Look at that. Oh my goodness. They're gonna be glowing. Look at the lighting. Simple lighting too, right? Very simple. Make a big difference.
And those aren't gradients, or those are gradients? The lighting.
The lighting? Nah, man. I just fill it with purple, set it to fucking multiply 60%, and then mask out what I don't want. That's the lighting.
People definitely need to utilize masking. Like,
see, there's the. You can see I added in SketchCraft now, so it all lines up. I'm working on the little effects, and that's it, Brandon. You got any other questions? I'm gonna move to the music.
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
Oh wait, how many more minutes do we got here?
Another 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Shit, 2 minutes. In the last minute, I'll move to the music. So.
You got a little too excited there.
I thought I was almost done, man. I forget.
I'm still watching it draw.
I know. I thought we were closer. So here I'm adding a third layer of shadow to everything. Pumping up the lighting, like little purple. I got these little like layer effects and stuff I've created over the years that simulates different lighting effects. Now you can see now I'm painting in extra little rim lights and stuff. So it'll be just like one certain right here, which way I want it to go, from the left or from behind.
And you keep the rim light all the same, as if they're getting hit by the same light?
Yeah.
So it's not based off the person, it's based off the light hitting them.
Yeah.
And then you would do the same for the dark lines behind them to rim.
Yeah, you'll
right?
see it. Use the lasso tool to create little atmospheric areas. I can airbrush stuff in. And we're going to have more atmosphere in the background. It's going to be a little hazier.
Right, it's more precise if it's close to you, correct?
Yeah. And a little darker, too. So now they're going to be backlit with that green because I added that green lighting back there, see?
Mm-hmm.
I'm bumping up the contrast so that lighting will make more sense. These will be a little darker right close to that's what they call the core shadow, where it's real dark by the light source.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm messing with the rim light back there.
I tried to talk about core shadows over the weekend.
No, let's not get into that.
I'm just saying I'm not very good at it.
Quagmire giggity. So, and then now I'm kind of like adjusting that rim light base. See, like that's yellow because of the sunspot right there.
Uh-huh. So
their lighting's affected by that in the background. And then the one up front is green because it's affected by the green lighting. And the one back there is more red, but I'm trying to make sure it's not too pinkish, you know? So I'm
Mhm.
just trying to find the right balance between white. And then there'd be a little bit of lining on Iceman because of Magneto's little effect. I'm adding little glows and stuff. And now I get the glows, the fun part. Everyone goes, "Oh my god,
Everybody loves the glows.
I just want to do glows." It's glows. All right, man, that's it. Brandon, where can people find you on the internet?
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at LeadHeavy.
As always, folks, leave comments below. I will answer any and all questions, and we will